We do begin tonight with the very latest on the catastrophic earthquake that has devastated the nation of Haiti. At this hour, it is believed that there are still likely thousands of people trapped beneath the rubble of crumbled buildings in the Haitian capital of Port-au-Prince. The death toll from yesterday's magnitude 7.0 earthquake is still unknown tonight, but earlier in the day, Haiti's president, René Préval, estimated that between 30,000 and 50,000 people may have been killed. Estimates of death tolls in disasters like this, as early as this is, notoriously difficult to get right. But that massive number, 30 to 50,000 people, is what the nation's president is suggesting. In terms of the total number of people affected by this disaster, the International Red Cross estimates tonight that 1/3 of Haiti's 9 million people are probably in need of emergency aid. Right now, there is a massive search and rescue operation underway, an effort that's being hampered by a dwindling supply of food, water, and medical supplies. Relief supplies have, of course, been promised, and many are en route, but getting them to Haiti and getting them distributed appropriately are two different things, and together they are a logistical challenge of almost unimaginable proportions. As far as the U.S. government's response to this tragedy, it's sort of all hands on deck right now. Today, President Obama changed his own schedule, canceling a planned appearance in Maryland. The president pledged a quick and coordinated American response effort. To that end, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has canceled the rest of her trip to the Pacific, and she's returning home. Defense Secretary Robert Gates has scrapped his planned trip to Australia in order to help deal with this crisis. U.S. ships, helicopters, transport planes, not to mention 2,000 U.S. Marines are currently on their way to Haiti to assist in rescue and relief. NBC News has a team of reporters in Port-au-Prince, Haiti tonight. Joining us now is Brian Williams, the anchor and managing editor of NBC Nightly News. Alongside Brian, our NBC News correspondent, Kerry Sanders, and the Today Show's Ann Curry and Al Roker. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Brian, what is the latest on the ground there?
Rachel, we keep coming back to the word, all four of us, what a desperate place this is. And that's on a good day, not to be flip. You add a tragedy of this magnitude to this place where there's not much to everyday life, and you have what we have here right now. There are glimmers of good news. The U.S. Special Forces team that arrived today, they're setting up a kind of makeshift control tower so there can be air traffic control. The relief flights that have already started. That's a Canadian C-130 making so much noise behind us, but that's perfectly all right. But the scope of this is absolutely incredible, and we're still getting our arms around it. You mentioned our on-air team. We got word of this yesterday. We were in the newsroom. We happened to be in Washington, D.C. Kerry Sanders has been here so many times covering Haiti over the years. When you heard that there had been a natural disaster on top of what you know already about daily life in Haiti, what was your first reaction?
I feared how high the numbers would climb, and I'm not sure we'll ever know how many people have died in this earthquake or how many may be alive right now and that nobody can get to them as they're buried under the rubble. You need to understand, not only was this a 7.0, a massive earthquake, but there are no building codes here. People build homes over lifetimes and generations. So they bring out the cement and they build the first floor. And then when they have children, maybe when their children reach teenage or adults, they add another floor. And then they add another floor on top of that, often without rebar. That's the metal that goes inside there to reinforce. So as I flew over the city today in a helicopter and looked down, I saw a city that was crushed. Not just buildings that collapsed in this shake and homes that fell down, but entire hillsides that had slipped away. And people who were in those homes that are still standing, have all evacuated onto soccer fields, into parks, where they've set up because nobody wants to return to a structure because of the aftershocks that follow. Brian, we've had some aftershocks here, some that have been rather strong, and people are running. I mean, they're not going anywhere, they're just running from where they are.
And Rachel, to a New Yorker, it would feel like maybe the number 4 train was going by beneath your feet, or a big truck was driving by, and it's all nothing you're looking. It's nothing anticipatable. You're always surprised by it. You look around and realize, well, that's the earth moving around us. And we were inside the commercial terminal tonight, and you mentioned to me these are all American kids. They seem to be from a church group. They had already been here. They're trying to get out. This is not to be confused with the relief agencies that will be coming in.
That's right. There are about 50 of them, and they said that they've been trying to reach their parents, and they can't get a phone call out. That's really the problem here. There is really no communication out of here. The cell towers are down. Intermittently, they have power. Sometimes they do not. It's a real crisis here. But these kids, all Americans from all across the country, there was something called SKG, I think, SKG. And basically what they are is a gospel group of missionaries that were here. They're now, if you're parents and you know about these kids, you're worrying about them, they're now flying to the Bahamas and will be connecting with the U.S. Embassy there and trying to get out. There are a lot of Americans who are trying to get out. We understand the U.S. Embassy is very crowded, and today I think some of these Americans have been able to get out.
One final point, Al, I was thinking earlier this evening, we're standing in some of the only lights in Port-au-Prince. If you don't have a generator here tonight, fuel, you're out of business.
Absolutely. The one good thing, if there could be one found, silver lining, is the weather. It's not that hot. It was in the upper 80s today. We had some cloud cover this evening. The skies have now since cleared, and tomorrow more the same. What would make this miserable, even more miserable, is if we're talking about rain, and the next few days it looks pretty sunny. The good news also has been the relief efforts that have been coming in. We saw Iceland Air come in here, bringing in the Iceland Air and Rescue Team. The Fairfax County, Virginia Search and Rescue Team are here. Canada, as you mentioned. So the relief is getting here, but the big challenge, as we've referenced, is going to be getting that relief from the runway and the tarmac to the people who need it out there.
So, Rachel, as we said, glimmers of hope, but still that word, desperation regarding life here in Haiti.
Brian, it's so helpful to have your take on what's happening there from all of you. In terms of understanding what's happening at the airport and the rest of Port-au-Prince, I was wondering if you could comment on two things. First of all, as Al just mentioned, that challenge of getting supplies that have made it to the airport into the hands of the people who need them most, getting those things distributed. Also, are people massing at the airport because they see lights there, because they see activity there, in the hopes that they can get some assistance by physically coming to where you are at the airport?
Well, first of all, I'll let Ann answer the second part. Yes, the supplies, and this is nothing, but when we got here today, there were 4 aircraft on the tarmac. By tonight, it was a mass of wings and engines. Again, no air traffic control, no ground control. That will change as of tonight, thanks to the U.S. Air Force Special Forces out of Florida. And already we saw piles of relief, but small by comparison. Wound cleaning kits, bandages, syringes, a fetal monitor, a stand-up rolling fetal monitor you would see in a hospital that just sat out here for the longest time. Again, that's nothing. The response to this will be so impressive. It'll make every American proud. The problem will be getting it into Port-au-Prince and around this country. And Ann can talk about the people gathering at the airport. You saw them.
That's right. Earlier, we were heading out to the outside of the gates of the airport, and we could see that people were there were a lot of people trying to get in. And some of these people had open wounds. They were covered in dust. Some of them, it looked as though they had actually just emerged from some of the rubble and had not gotten any medical care. We also found people who had gotten some medical care, but there clearly is a drive to get out of Port-au-Prince and get to help, because they're not getting the help they need inside Port-au-Prince. As you well know, Rachel, most of the hospitals are down. Some of them have collapsed, and as a result, there is triage that's going on. There are clinics, open clinics outside, where people are being picked and taken care of, and there are bodies still lying on the streets of Port-au-Prince covered in sheets. So the situation is most dire. People are going to become more and more desperate as the hours tick by.
Brian, there's just a little bit of good news. Cell service seems to be coming back up. Some of our crew members have cell service right now, so that will help aid in this recovery effort.
Fantastic.
One last question for you all, and it's great news to hear that cell service may be coming back in terms of people being able to reach loved ones, but also coordinating relief efforts, obviously. We understand that from all disaster recovery efforts, that there's really a critical 48-hour window for saving lives, for rescuing people trapped under the rubble. We're about more than halfway through those 48 hours. Can you tell us anything about the rescue plan for tomorrow in terms of saving lives that need to be saved in a very small number of hours that have happened since the earthquake itself.
Kerry, you talked to a physician on the way here today.
I did. He's a trauma physician who came in from Miami with a team from the Jackson Memorial Hospital, Barth Green. He said there is hope. He says in these next 48 hours, they can get to these sites. They can dig people out, that people can hold on. The biggest problem, of course, is that weight is on their bodies, and it's constricting the lungs. So the will to live is extremely strong, and people will fight. But at one point or another, the weight will take over. They won't have any liquids. And that's why the 48 hours is so important. It's not just getting the experts there, the folks from Fairfax and others. It's just getting people there to remove it. But understand, every time they remove something and then the ground shakes, people dash away.